Praise be to the almighty bestower of all motivation. Whoever the fuck that is. I'm not even sure if he deserves it. His delivering times leave something to be desired. 10.5 months since the last segment, and you're only just now giving me the motivation to do this shit? Are you high? Don't even chalk up beer flu as an excuse. You had a good 3 months before that shit came down on us to deliver this. Now I'm debating whether I'm actually talking to myself or not on a recording. Ugh. Let's just go ahead and ignore that. We're just gonna start this segment the same way we usually do. I'm just gonna show off a whole of stuff. I actually forgot that I still had a smattering of Pokemon that I had to evolve, and did so. It's been that long. Most of this stuff is about what you would expect. Lopunny's about as much of an asshole to evolve as you would think. For the uninitiated, Bunnyery, that's its name. Bunnyery is caught with a happiness rate of, I think, 0. I think that's its base happiness. So it takes quite a lot longer to evolve through happiness than something like Lucario. And I wanted to point out these last 9 in particular, because these Pokemon are already part of the collection. But then I remembered that there's a Safari Zone in this game, the Great Marsh. And so because Safari Balls are equivalent in strength to a Great Ball, having these things as Safari Balls doesn't actually make them count towards my collection, because I'm too stubborn to allow anything greater than the strength of a Pokeball. So I had to grab some new specimens for these. A few of these were just obtained elsewhere, and either, I think in the case of Quagsire, it was just a wild encounter not too far outside of Pastoria, and then I think the rest were just a combination of breeding or just catching and evolving, that sort of thing. So that's all of them except for Tropius. Tropius can be found somewhere else in the wild, but it's post-game only, so I'm gonna just catch it then. Not that it's that big of a deal. I still do have a Tropius in my possession. It's the HM Slave. So yeah, that's about that. I don't even know what this Gastron's here for. Is it in a thing? Nah, I could easily release that, but I don't want to, because that would be too mean. Okay, so where I left off, I grabbed a bunch of legendaries and then made the I don't even know how I ended the previous segment. I know I caught some legendaries. I'm not too sure if I gave anybody fair warning that this might take a while to get out. I didn't expect it to be 10.5 months. I do apologize for that. But it's going to involve a lot of recording and editing and a whole bunch of other bullcrap that I had to just sort of put together at random. So this is where I explain the format of the next few segments, because this is going to be the only live commentary bit you're going to be hearing. For somehow, some way, Drayano has made it so that the Pokemon League in this game can choose between one of 4 different preset teams at random. That's all 4 Elite Four members plus Cynthia. This is only applied to round 1, so I only have to worry about this now and not have to worry about it when I do the rematches. But because I'm a stubborn asshole, I refuse to budge from the idea of showing every single team off. So instead of having just one segment where I go through the entire Pokemon League and be like, yay, today's segment, I'm only going to be fighting one Elite Four member, and I'm going to be doing that 4 times. I've done quite a bit of preparation for this. You're about to see. I've got 4 separate save state slots. I had them all set to use the Magikarp coin flip, because that can manipulate RNG a bit. But it doesn't look like it's going to really help a whole lot. I will have to just throw a lot of hard saves and reloads and all that other shit, to the point where I actually did make a backup of my DSV file, the save file that Desmume reads, just in case things go south. So yeah, that's a bit of a thing. And before I proceed on to the first of these, I should probably explain this thing that I randomly put together. I wanted to give everybody an equal amount of screen time, because for those who don't remember, I am using 12 Pokemon in this playthrough. You'll see that they all appear twice on this diagram. I wanted to try to mix it all up a bit so that it wasn't just the same two teams being used twice. I also wanted to get a bit of a balance because obviously the Elite Four teams are going to differ in some areas. Flint in particular, I think one of his teams, he's only got like 3 fire types out of his 6 Pokemon. So I wanted to try to cover for that, and I wanted to try to cover for some other big name bits and pieces like the Magmortar that Flint uses. Like Birth always uses a Rhyperior, that's kind of her ace. Obviously had to cover for Cynthia's Garchomp, because we all know how much of a wrecking ball that can be. So hopefully this is going to work out. I have absolutely no idea how this is actually going to go down. I've not tried it yet. I could possibly have tried it. I did like one test against Aaron, and that went down reasonably well. I just wanted to make sure that I just needed to confirm what I needed to do in order to randomize stuff and actually get all the teams that I wanted to do. The reason for this is because each of the teams that I've got set up here is set to go up against, like for the first run, I want to face off against the teams that are listed first in the paste bin document. So for the first run, I want to go up against Aaron's first team, Bertha's first team, Flint's first team, and so on and so forth. And then for the second run and the third run and the fourth run. So hopefully I won't have to faff about with RNG too much, and I will retain the goal is to retain a save file. That's pretty much the first thing, and obviously to show everything off and whatnot. None of this is going to be done in live, because I want to just go through each of my 4 Elite Four runs, record it, splice it, and then just do all the voice recording afterward. Because I just figured that my commentary might be a bit more interesting that way, because then I can just sort of go through the motions of what I was thinking at the time. That's probably the better idea. So, okay, that's the first 7 minutes of this return done and dusted. Now I've got to fucking smash it another 40 plus. Let's just assume each segment's going to go for an hour. It's not actually that big of a deal, because I have in the 10.5 months since the previous segment gotten an upgrade to my internet. I now am running NBN, which for anybody outside Australia, it's basically fiber optic internet. I have awesome speeds. I can present these segments to you at 1080p now instead of having to go 720p and have it be like really slow upload, like fucking 2 hours for a 20-minute segment, you know, that sort of thing. That struggle is over. So with that now out of the way, let us begin the challenge and go commit some insecticide. And here we go with the first of the Elite Four members here, Aaron the Bugmaster. This first fight actually doesn't really lend itself to the difficulty that I experienced with the remainder of these fights. This one actually goes down. This is probably the easiest fight of all of them, so we're just sort of getting that out of the way, and then I get to go on random tangents about the bullshit. So I'm not too entirely sure if there's any real specific themes that any of these teams follow. I think they're all just a little bit different, and it's just sort of makes you have to readjust your strategies for each one. And obviously it's a good thing that you can sort of abuse RNG by reloading hard saves to get the teams that you want here, because some of them probably won't be as ideal for you as others. So there you go. So lead here is Yanmega. This thing's holding Wise Glasses. Some Pokemon in these Elite Four teams hold like stuff like the Wise Glasses and the Muscle Bands. Others will hold choice items, and that includes Scarf. I think one of the team members one of the Pokemon on this team is actually holding a choice Scarf, and I'm actually quite grateful that I got a bit of RNG to go my way. Otherwise, I think probably would have caused a lot more problems, and this attempt might not have actually gone down anywhere near as well as it did. But here I just lead with $3, set up some screens, and then take advantage of the fact that it's abusing the crap out of its speed boost there. So that actually makes Gyro Ball do more damage. I did want to save as many of them as I could, because while I do have PP restoring items and stuff, I didn't really want to try to rely on those a bit too much. I Gyrobold's obviously only got 5 PP on it. So, here's the Scarf user, Heracross. Only real quite effective move that I've got is on Bertha. So the hope is that I can either outspeed and get in the hit, or maybe like just get some lucky in some other field. The latter ended up taking effect here. I just went with the Aerial Ace, and he misses with Stone Edge. If that Stone Edge connected, I think even with Reflect, Bertha was just one-banged. Heracross is a pretty powerful Pokemon. Can be pretty quick, especially if you give it a Scarf to hold. Problem is, it's not the bulkiest thing in the world, as you'll see in one of the later fights. I think it's the second fight. Let me actually have a look at the teams here. Nope, it's the third fight. Third fight has a Heracross on the team with a different set to this one. This one, as I said before, is holding a Choice Scarf, so it's basically just outspeed the opponent and murder the damn thing. This one's not so much outspeed the opponent, but it's just try to murder the damn thing, which doesn't work out anywhere near as well. This is holding a Choice Band, and it was just a matter of outspeeding and going in with Tidal and probably doing a whole lot of damage, if not outright killing it, which ended up being the end result here. Vespiquen, I think this is the only team that has Vespiquen, so this is just like its one and only appearance, and as you would probably expect from a Vespiquen, it's not going to do a whole lot, especially against a rampaging Rhino thing wearing weird fucking misshapen blotches of armor. Carrying the rock-type equivalent of Giga Impact, so yeah, rip. There's, I don't think that there's any doubt in anybody's minds that Vespiquen was not surviving a Rock Wrecker. Why? Yeah, don't have a whole lot to say. I actually had a failed attempt just before because I accidentally left in a failed attempt at I think the third team, which would explain why that chunk was just so much longer than the others. It probably shouldn't have been, and lo and behold, I learned that the bloody hard way, so you get to listen to my voice slowly die because I can never get used to like talking for extended periods of time. Not that there's much to say about a Sizzle getting overheated. There's only one way that's going to freaking end. That Sizzle was holding a Life Orb as well. It's a Technician Life Orb Sizzle, so getting that out of the way just makes things quite a bit easier, and then that just leaves his Drapion. This Drapion ranges from being a complete pushover to being a bit of a problem, and the entire hinge on that is literally Rampart. I one-banged this thing with Earthquake. It probably could have hit me for some kind of damage had I not gotten a quick little axe off there. So I'm not too sure how Drapion's defenses are like. I think it's got pretty good special defense because I don't really do a whole lot of damage to it with Ghost Trick in later attempts, but it gets one banged by Earthquake, so that does the that does the trick for this attempt. Or this particular team. It obviously, as I said at the top of this recording, doesn't really lend itself much to the overall difficulty that I face with these fights. This one's a little bit more challenging, although you might not actually think of that at first because the lead here is the Venomoth. What is this thing holding? It's holding Wildlands. Okay. So it's holding Wide Lens, but none of its moves are inaccurate, which is kind of weird. It's got Tinted Lens, which I think like increases the power of its stab moves, or like super effective moves. Like I can't quite remember, but it poses no threat. I went bang it with Psychic, and then instead of a Sizzle, he has a Fortress in this team. Same typing, same results really, unless the thing was holding like a Sash or something. But nah, Sturdy in this generation does not act like a Focus Sash type thing, so nothing to worry about with the Fortress. It's slow as shit, and now it's roasted. Just, yeah. Gave it a good old Gordon Ramsay cooking. So moving on to the Armaldo here. Don't have title to one-bang it with Surf, so I have to try to find an alternate route. At this point, I think I decide that the screens are probably going to be helpful, so I go in with Jaeger. And I think I only get one screen off here, because obviously Jaeger's faster. Like, that's one of the things I wanted to ensure with the teams that I picked out here. I didn't want to have both Jaeger and $3 on the same team. They basically serve the same purpose, but they do sort of differ in their mechanics. Jaeger's obviously a bit faster, can hit a bit harder. $3 just overall bulkier and can sort of take a few hits even without the assistance of the screens. Obviously there are some exceptions. Flint is a big example of that. You'll see that event soon enough. But here I think I just went with the Psychic instead, just to do some damage and make sure something could come in and clean up. Lucky enough to get a special defense drop there with the Psychic. That's why I went with the Psychic instead of the Dazzling Gleam. So the RNG worked out for me in that field. And then here I just go in with Ghost Trick and then debate whether or not I want to use one of the stronger moves, the stab moves, but I just go with the Power Gem anyway because I feel like that's enough. It hits for super effective damage. It's got the special defense drop from the Psychic, so there goes the Armaldo. And speaking of Psychic, you'll notice Ghost Trick here has a Nasty Plot, which I don't actually use all that often. I think it gets used once, here, which actually, no, I don't think it actually works out to my benefit. No, it doesn't. That Drayano causes problems, as I alluded to earlier. So I probably could have replaced that with like Psychic or something. And on a similar topic, I have I actually replaced Focus Energy on Tidal partway through. I think the first run. Yeah, the first run when Tidal was on that team, and I think I did the same thing when Tidal comes back in like the fourth run. I can't quite remember that. I don't have the diagram up anywhere, so yeah. I got rid of Focus Energy because it wasn't really helping me all that much, and the middle two Elite Four members both use weather effects, so getting rid of those just makes those a bit more tolerable, so I replaced it with Rain Dance. Anywho, I believe he's going in with the Drayano here, so I feel like I feel like I could probably tank one hit from Drayano because I don't take super effective damage from either of its stabs just because of the whole cancel out thing. So I get up a Nasty Plot here and I am denied because this Drayano has Scope Lens and it has Sniper, so crits for days. It's actually kind of unfortunate. I've got that same combination on Tidal, and Tidal does not score anywhere near as many crits. I think most of the crits that it actually scores were in failed attempts, which is really depressing because when I actually get around to the successful attempts, it's not a whole bunch of RNG that I hope to go my way, and that helps me work out. I just managed to scrape by some other way. So I'm going with Pompoda here, just hoping I can do a bit of damage. This thing, yeah, I feel like there's got to be some kind of difference in EV investment there, because Drayano got easily one-banged by Earthquake, although Rampart is quite a bit more proficient in physical attacking than old Pompoda is there, but I figured Pompoda could probably have done a little bit more damage, but it didn't. I got the free switch in though, because I knew it was going to go for another Earthquake. Sent in Mint Roast, learned the hard way that it's got Aqua Tail. I think I mentioned in the failed attempt at recording this, like the audio, that I was grateful that I didn't have to have Rampart to deal with the Aqua Tail. But I'm pretty sure Aqua Tail probably would not have one-banged Rampart anyway, because, you know, Solid Rock's a mighty good ability. So gets in the heal there, which just, I guess, lets me hit a Thunderbolt, which is nice. And then I think I get critted out again here with Cross Poison. Yeah, 2 fucking crits. Just so shit. That's kind of how RNG is supposed to work in these games. It just sort of fucks you over. Or at least you remember the times that it fucks you over more than the times that it actually benefits you. Unless it's like a significant sort of, holy shit, this actually kicked some friggin' ass, like when I was going down the route south of Veilstone and Illison was just nailing crit after crit after crit. That I found to be absolutely hilarious. It actually reminds me, I've got Illison here, but I don't think she actually makes any sort of appearances in this segment at all, just because she's not exactly well suited to dealing with bug types, especially Scyther. This Life Orb Technician Scyther packing Aerial Ace. There's only one way this is going to go down. Sorry, Bertha. Bertha picked a pretty good time to decide to wake up from her power fantasy dream and remember that she is actually supposed to be a piece of crap. She does decently well, but I don't think she does quite as well as I would have expected. I feel like I probably could have stood to gain a few more levels for this before fighting these Elite Four teams. I feel like that might have helped me get over a few bits and pieces, because like later on I'll come across points where I feel like Suricate will do a decent job, but then it just gets outsped and one-banged, despite Suricate being by and far the fastest thing on my team. That's kind of what the Scarves are for. They just kind of screw you over like that. So there's a rather interesting end to the fight. The Scyther dies to Pompota's Aftermath, and that's just the end of the fight. No experience, but whatever. Bertha still made an appearance, and so she got me the double cash stack there. Now then, team number 3, the actual successful attempt instead of the horrendously failed one, where I think I lost Dick Kickham early and went on to regret that because Scizor was a thing, and I needed a fire type move to deal with the Scizor. So, Masquerain packing, packing Wise Glasses. So that's a bit nasty with the full power special moves that it's got. You can see that it used Hydro Pump there. It's also got Hurricane, and then it also has Bug Buzz and Blizzard, so any of those hit with Wise Glasses, it's probably going to do a fair amount of damage. I can speak from some level of experience. I used a Masquerain in one of Drayano's other hacks, the decidedly long-forgotten one called Spirit Gold. It was kind of like a precursor to Sacred Gold and Storm Silver, although by his own admission not really as high up in the quality department. I still thought it was an enjoyable ROM hack, but I used a Masquerain in that, and it did a pretty decent job. Now here I went with the Power Gem because I forgot that Masquerain is not part flying in this hack, so that does come back to bite me in the ass. I think I take these? Yeah, I take these, because I got the light screen up, so I figured I'd one-bang this thing with Power Gem. I end up two-banging it, so it's not a huge deal. Ghost Trick does prove itself as a bit of a powerhouse, but it is not the fastest thing on the team. Like, even just including all 12 team members, there is Suricate that's also part of this team. And so Ghost Trick does end up getting a few KOs dealt to it because of just that drop in speed in comparison to stuff like Choice Scarf. So here's how you actually deal with the frickin' Scizor when you don't have Mitt Roast. Just send in Dick Kickham. Don't be stupid enough to get it KO'd by the frickin' Masquerain with Hurricane, and one-bang it. That's what makes Blaze Kick so kick-ass. I'm just going to take this moment to take a drink. I also had to contemplate my life after dropping such a stupid pun. So, I've got a few rock moves on this set, and I go with Suricate's Rock Slide here because in my failed attempt, which I forgot to cut out, it was showing that this thing has Shadow Ball. So I'm like, well, I don't really want to deal with it. Not that I would expect Beautifly to send Shadow Ball anyway. It's probably got a stab move that helps it just kick Suricate's ass better. And then it's also got the Sash, so after missing and then finally actually hitting with a Rock Slide, that goes and happens. I just go with another Rock Slide anyway though, because I'm expecting it to heal. And the Focus Sash is only used once, unlike the stupid Sturdy in later generations. So overall, it didn't actually pose any... I think it... Well, no. That wouldn't be entirely fair to Beautifly. It did sort of pose a threat, it just missed with its only attack that it got. It probably would have knocked out Suricate if not for the fact that I had a light screen, which has since just run out there. And so now I got to deal with this Heracross. This is a different Heracross. Instead of having a choice scarf, it focuses more on guts and is holding a toxic on the trigger set guts. So I learned from my failed attempts that this thing does not have particularly great special defense, and so it gets one banged with a Moonblast. So that's it. That's it for Heracross. Could have been a bigger threat than it was, but RNG didn't help it in one fight, and it was just outclassed in the other. Poor bugger. And so now I've got to deal with the Drapion again, but Team 3 is packing Rampart, so that's not that big of a deal. And I think he's got... How many other team members has he got? He's got one left. And it seems like it's going to take a bit of a while to get through these, because it seems like this fight's going to go for like another 2 minutes, which is kind of dumb. Oh yeah, the Drapion actually outspeeds and gets some sort of attack in. This Drapion in particular does not have... Yeah, it doesn't have a Aqua Tail, so I'd have to go with the Earthquake there. But then I show it how an Earthquake is really done, and the results of which are quite to my liking. Sit down, idiot. And then lastly is, oh yeah, the Dustox. I think this Dustox hangs around for a bit, because it is a screen setter, and I'm not entirely sure why I went in with $3 here. I feel like I probably could have sent in something else and done a much better job. But, well, he makes this mistake by going with light screen against a physical attacker. I think he should be well aware that $3 is a physical attacker, and so probably should have gone with the Reflect first. And yeah, that bloody happens. So I'm just like, screw it, go for another Zen Headbutt. I'm expecting him to heal. And so that happens. I kind of do wonder if I got low rolled there by the RNG and I got like min damage or something. So low key hoping that the Zen Headbutt actually kills this time, and it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure what the damage gap is there, but nah. It's just a matter of tanking Bug Buzz and then killing him with a Gyro Ball. So that's about it. Dustox could have been more annoying than it was, but he sent the fucking thing out last. He probably should have sent the damn thing out second at the very least, but nope. Decided that the screens weren't necessary, and it's what got his ass kicked on that attempt. And so here's the fourth and final team. Back with Jaeger in the front doing stuff. Except I've got Suricate here as the lead. I think that's a thing I learned from a failed attempt. Just get this Scyther out the way with a Rock Slide. This is actually this is probably like the one interesting facet about this team, in that he has both a Scyther and a Scizor. I'm not entirely sure why, and I think they're like the exact same sort of setup. Yeah, they're just Life Orb technicians. That's literally what they both are. So I'm not entirely sure why they're both on the one team. Probably just because of different stabs and maybe different movesets. Like this Scyther has Quick Attack for some reason. I can't exactly get Bullet Punch because it's got no hands, but okay, cool. So the Unmega comes back in, and I'm just like, okay, cool, Rock Slide. Didn't really feel the need to set up any screens at this point, so just sweep what I can, and then maybe set up the screens to ensure that it doesn't he doesn't pull off some sort of comeback late in the piece and clean me up. Now, Pinsir. I could just stay in with Suricate and clean this thing up, but Pinsir almost certainly has a fighting type move. Yeah, confirmed close combat. So I'm just like, I'll see if Blaze Kick does a decent enough job. So I go with the Blaze Kick, and then it, yeah, does that. And then the close combat comes in, and that sucks. Because I think that's a one bang. Yeah, that's a one bang. There is a defense drop though, so if I could probably go back in with Suricate and murder this thing. I'm not too sure if that's what I end up doing though. No, apparently I go with Spearmint, because I'm expecting this dude to heal. Which is actually kind of ironic. So yeah, there's the heal. And I got Rock Climb on Spearmint for type coverage, not that I get to use it a whole lot, because... Like, obviously Rock Climb is good to deal with stuff like fire types and obviously bug types. It's just at this point, it seems very much to me that... Besides the fact that Spearmint doesn't actually prove itself to be top of the pops in the attacking department, as shown by the fact that it managed to bloody leave the pincer alive. It takes quite a fair bit of damage from the stuff that it's weak to, particularly fire, because obviously it's 4 times weak to that. So yeah, Rock Climb doesn't end up getting used all that well. Spearmint doesn't really get used all that much overall. It's kind of disappointing. Although I think Spearmint ends up finishing things off like right at the very end of the last Cynthia team fight. So I guess that's like a bit of brownie points for it. It has its moment to shine after being screwed over in that very same segment where Ellison landed all those friggin' crits. Can't forget that one. Took a bloody while. It took a hell of a while to freaking splice together all those different, the bits of the freaking Touch Fuzzy Get Dizzy variants. I still very much enjoy how that segment came out. If you haven't seen that, first of all, what the hell are you doing watching this? Secondly, go watch it. It's not the most interesting thing ever, but if you have experience playing Yoshi's Island, you may enjoy the editing fun that I had. Okay, so here's the stupid Scizor, gets in a friggin' U-turn, which doesn't actually work out for it because Aftermath plus Life Orb damage kills the Scizor before it can switch out. But now it puts me into a spot where I basically just have to pick something at random and hopefully it has a decent matchup against whatever he sends out. So I'll go with Jaeger, and I am met with a Flygon, which is fine. It's a decent start. I'm debating whether or not I want to go with, if I want to switch, or possibly even just go for a Dazzling Gleam or a Screen. Like, even if I put up a Screen, I'm probably not expecting Jaeger to survive. I go with the Light Screen after reading the Pace Spin doc and seeing that Flygon is more of a special. This is a special Flygon. So I'm just like, alright, well, I'll go with that. And that just, okay, that works out actually far better than I expected it to, because it tanks the Fire Blast pretty well. So I get off a Dazzling Gleam and puts it in 2-bang range, I think. Or is this like a crit? No, it does a fair bit of damage. So I think that dies. I think Flygon is part bug in this instead of part ground. I'm not 100% sure about that. But either way, I'm just like, alright, Tidal. Go with the Ice Beam because I'm expecting this thing to die to Ice Beam, even though the full restore comes into play here because, again, I thought this thing was part ground, but it isn't. So the Ice Beam comes in, and how much damage does this do? A respectable amount, but still, I expected it to KO, which sucks. I think this thing has Draco Meteor, so I'm not entirely sure why it didn't, like, just go straight for that to try to do as much damage as possible, but not that I'm fussing. The thing eventually goes down to another Ice Beam. And then I think that just leaves Drapion again. I think this is his last Pokemon. I'm not exactly well suited to fighting this thing, mind you, given the team members that I've got, but I guess as with the rest of these, I will do my best and somehow manage to make it through. I just hit the fucker button here and I just go with Strength. Strength has a chance of getting an attack boost in this hack, so I figured I'd just try to go for that instead of just going for a Swords Dance and risking getting critted out or something. I think that actually does happen here. Yeah. Fuck this Drapion. And so I go in with our Tidal and be like, no, this is how you fucking score a clutch crit. Somehow the Drapion outspeeds me. I'm not entirely sure how the Drapion outspeeds me, but I think it's like the one time that the Drapion doesn't land a crit that's actually like significant. I think there's a couple of other times where it doesn't land a crit, but it probably didn't really matter anyway. So there you go. That's Aaron. So that I believe is going to be about it. So next time we will get to have ourselves somewhat of a mirror match. Bertha versus Bertha, get the fuck hype.